Hello, Andrea. Did you have a fun time at Judges Week?
Hi, Brandon. Yes, I had a great time. Judges Week is always a lot of fun. You get to see, new games that are coming to E3 ahead of time. It's tough though because we have to keep them secret until now, of course.
I know, and it's funny. It's the week that keeps on giving because just as we get day by day closer to E3, all of these embargoes are popping up, and we finally get to talk about these games. Fortnite is a game that I was really looking forward to playing, and I'm really excited to finally talk about because we actually had two different gameplay sessions. So I went in early in the day and checked out Fortnite, and then as I was heading out, you came in and had a totally different session with a totally different group of people. And so I'm curious how our experiences differed. But since we're getting you on the phone to talk about Fortnite, why don't you just kind of give us your initial impressions of the game so far?
I went into this session, like I do a lot of sessions, pretty skeptical of Fortnite because we haven't seen very much gameplay. They've been talking about this game for quite a while now. It's been in develop at Epic for quite some time. And so I went in going, I don't know if I'm going to really like this game. The concept of tower defense, I love. I love fort building and I love cooperative games. But that very cartoonish, almost Team Fortress kind of art aesthetic is not something that I naturally gravitate towards.
Me neither.
So,
I was a little nervous because I love survival games because of that fear of setting up something to support yourself and to defend yourself against forces coming in. And I'm like, how afraid am I going to be of these adorable looking zombies? So yeah, that was a concern I had as well.
yeah, I don't think that the zombies or the husks, as they're called in the game, are that scary as from like a horror standpoint. But I think the fear comes from the idea that they come in these large waves to attack the fort that you've built. So there's really two parts to this game, right? So there's the daytime part where you are out scavenging for materials and working with your crew to get enough supplies to build up a fort around the Atlas. And so the Atlas is the thing that you need to protect from the husks. And then once you activate the Atlas, it makes this storm that brings all these husks in, come and try to take the Atlas down. And so that constant panic of, like getting the notifications that they're attacking your Atlas, you need to go back and make new fortifications. That's the kind of panic I think that you get when you do a tower defense cooperative game. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this much more than I thought I was going to because it's so much more complex. It's like so many different layers of gameplay.
Yeah, this was a lot more complicated than I was expecting. So much so that there were elements that I didn't really have enough time to figure out exactly how they worked. Because, like you mentioned, there's two aspects to the game when you're directly playing it. So there's the you collecting all of these resources and then you building your base and then defending the Atlas from the husk that come in. But there's also this city building phase where you build different types of buildings that allow you to have basically other strengths that you would bring into gameplay. And so you just kind of have this map view, and then there's little stations like, oh, I can build a structure here, kind of like an RTS, where I'll build a medic station, and then that means, I regenerate health faster. I'm completely making up all of this off the top of my head because I went through it so fast. And we just had one session that you didn't really get to see how those skills added to your game. But the way they described it is they wanted you to have some kind of leveling up system so that even when you're going into a game, a match, what have you, where you just have to go defend the Atlas and then the match is over, that you would potentially bring in statistics and bonuses that would not only help you but help your teammates, depending on if you're someone who's played a lot of Fortnite versus someone who's going into the game for the first time. But again, I don't understand completely how all those systems work. So there is that going on, those underlying systems as you go into these worlds and build. But I thought it was interesting the kind of dichotomy of the time that you take building up your fortress and then the time, obviously, you take defending it. And there's this kind of give and take where the more time you spend going out day after day building up resources to have the stronger base, the stronger the enemies will get day by day. So you don't want to take too much time before you trigger that Atlas and get 5-10 minutes to try to defend it. So as you get through as you survive every night, you have to question okay, should we do it today or should we try to go out and find another mine and get more resources and make our structure stronger? So that seemed like an interesting give and take. What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you certainly covered a lot of ground there. So I want to touch on what you mentioned about the progression system. So it's tied to the different character classes. The character class that I chose to play was Outlander, and they do have male and female versions of both of the classes. Do you remember which one you played as?
I played as the constructor, I believe.
Nice.
Was the Outlander the one that would find things out in the environment?
Yeah, the scavenger.
Because I might have been an Outlander, yeah. So we narrowed our field as far as our editorial coverage of this game by playing the same character.
We did by accident. We didn't get a chance to converse because our schedules were so packed that week.
But yeah, there's Commando, Ninja, Constructor, and Outlander. So Outlander is better at finding things in the environment. There were some things that the Outlander could access the other classes couldn't. Commando, which is obviously better with guns. Ninja, which seemed to be more nimble and quicker and navigating the environment faster. And then Constructor, which I'm imagining you get some bonuses to building things. And those seem like kind of the four tenets, exploring, building, like traversing and fighting. Kind of seem like the four different things you can do in the game that are broken up into these classes.
Yeah, and they all really work well together, and I think that each of those roles kind of are great archetypes for gamers who enjoy this type of fort building game. People that want to be, on the offensive and want to be on the front lines and battling the enemy, and then there's people who want to play more of that support role and be in the back, building more resources so that you can reinforce the defenses around the Atlas. I like the scavenger because she was a little bit of a mix of constructor and melee. She does have a lot of guns. There are a lot of really amazing weapons in this game as well. So I mean, I went in thinking it wasn't going to be as diverse as it was, and it just surprised me at every single aspect of gameplay. And so I sat down with some of the dev team and talked to them about just how deep, the combat system is. And they have a variety of melee weapons to choose from. They have a variety of guns. They have, different classes of guns, your sniper rifles, your assault rifles, your, pistols. And then, you have different kinds of blades versus, like wooden weapons. So there's quite a variety. So depending on what your particular combat style is, you should be able to find something that you like. And then the weapons are all graded by level as well, in the traditional RPG sense, when you find, low-level weapons, and they go all the way up to like legendary weapons. There was a really fun one that I got to play with. So after you had to go off to the next event, most of the people in my group also went to that same event, and so I got to play around with 3 people from Epic, which was really fun, and they unlocked a bunch of like high-level endgame stuff.
Aww.
And I played with this. No, it was really awesome. I played with this one weapon. I can't remember the name of it, but it was a guitar that you essentially like swung as a melee weapon, and when it would hit husks or when you would try to break down stuff with it, it would like thwang, like thing, like you could hear the strings vibrating. Just like really fun, quirky stuff like that really added to the experience of Fortnite. I feel like there's so much to dig into here that we really didn't get to see enough of. And it really is a testament to how much active work the team is doing on this game. I mean, you have to build certain bases to unlock certain character classes. There's different types of material to build your forts with, there's advantages to making walls and floors with wood versus making them with stone or making them with metal. And, when I first started, I didn't think quite enough outside the box. I made a very basic house around the Atlas. And then when I got to play with the dev team, they made this crazy 4-story fort with these crazy roofs because zombies can rain from the sky in this world. And they made all these different mazes with these really intricate traps. And I played for 3 hours, and it was not even a scratch on the surface of how much you can do in this game.
And I definitely had a lot of hard-learned lessons building the forts because we had enough time to do one where we defended one Atlas, and then we went to a new map and there were 3. And so we had tried to build a structure that encompassed all 3 of these objects that we were trying to defend. And all of the husks were really unpredictable with where they would spawn from. We had a fort that was right underneath a cliff, and all the husks just came running off the cliff. And so it was like, oh well, too much for that. All the defenses we put on the ground level because they were able to just hop right over it because they had a higher vantage point.
Exactly, and there's husks, really big husks that can throw smaller husks inside your walls. So if you don't build proper roofing, then they can just like lob a guy in and you're done for. It's really challenging.
So yeah, it's really important to coordinate and communicate with your team. It's important to know where the Husk are attacking at any given time. It's important to build things on the fly, because if they all decide to come in and manage to knock one wall down, you got to build another wall before the next wave comes in. And so yeah, it's like you said, there was just, I think one of the reasons why I could see the game having a lot of longevity is because you have these things that you can build, so you're constantly progressing, and then you're bringing those skills to other people, whether they're new players or not. And there just seemed to be always something to do. Like you mentioned, weapons. And there kind of was like a Borderlands vibe, because you can go around and find like treasure chests out in the world that have those weapons inside when you're searching objects. And so you not only want to keep going in the real world before you trigger that atlas to get better supplies to build things, but better supplies just as guns and weird objects that you can find. And so there's always something to do. There's always something to look for. There's always something to worry about when you're defending. It just seemed like a very active game. And it was a lot of fun to play multiplayer and to play with other people at Judges Week. So I'm glad, even though we didn't get as much time as we would probably use up, we did get a lot of time with the game. And it was cool that we both got hands-on for 2 different sessions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this a game you're going to spend time with when it comes out?
Oh, I can't wait for this game. I asked the team, what's the average amount of time, that people spend building before they trigger the Atlas? Because it felt like the individual gameplay sessions were long, and he said about 45 minutes they spend building on average before they trigger. So, I mean, we're talking like, 90-minute gameplay sessions at a go. And this was just one mode. They have many more modes that they're going to debut, and they're also working on PvP, which they didn't even talk about yet.
Right.
So this game is going to be, like a really like deep gameplay experience that I want to learn more about. And I was really impressed. I mean, like, it's crazy, now that I say it out loud to you. Why would I not be impressed with Epic Games, right? They make fantastic stuff. I just think it's been so long since we've seen, something of this scale from them that we forgot, or I forgot. I don't know. Did you forget?
Well, it was weird. It didn't look like anything Epic had done before, and so you didn't know if that was because it was going to be a smaller game, that was like, oh, we'll make the visuals a little more cartoony, a little more simplistic, because the game isn't going to be that deep. But I was wrong in thinking that, because it got there, and I was still trying to figure things out by the time the demo was done. So I think it's something that. I just imagine people like maybe starting, because I think 3 days was the longest that we waited, to start up the atlases. And like, I imagine if you start that first day, you can still be scavenging potentially and building while the Husk are attacking. And I just imagine just people that like speed running, will get really good at that fine line between like, when do we want to defend and when do we want to keep building. And like you said, love tower defense, love just defense in general. Found I was enjoying the aesthetic of the game more than I thought I would. And it seems like they're open to receiving feedback from people. We still haven't gotten into a lot of a period where a lot of people have gotten access to the game. So I'm sure they're going to keep changing it and making it better based on player feedback, and hopefully based on our feedback today. So thank you for checking it out, Andrea.
Hey, thank you.
Why?